How have your leadership experiences impacted your work with the diverse staff and student body?
So I served as this year's Student Affairs Officer for the Professional Association for Industrial Distribution. This allowed me to work with essentially every single ID student within the program. It also challenged me to work with faculty and staff in setting up career fairs for our students. Also, I served on the Big Event Committee these past 2 years, and we had to reach out to over 20,000 students to volunteer for this service project, reaching out to different demographics and different cultures.
For me personally, over the past few years as a student leader, I feel like the diversity that I've experienced within the student organizations has just given me an opportunity to appreciate what those different experiences and backgrounds bring to the table in each organization and then within the university as a whole. Simply put, those specific decisions that organizations make on a daily basis either positively or negatively impact the university. I feel that as long as we continue to implement the diversity that's necessary to keep this university moving forward, those decisions that we'll make as a whole will be for the benefit of the school.
My experiences at Texas A&M between being SGA's Chief of Staff and Vice President of Public Relations, as well as working in class councils, Fish Camp, and Maroon Out Head Director and Inventory, have allowed me to work with a really broad range of students across this campus. And I have firsthand seen the impact and the power that diversity brings to an organization. I think that having a diverse group of students within the organization really only makes it stronger.
Considering the events that transpired on February 9th, what is your role as a student leader in combating this type of behavior and culture on Texas A&M campus?
So essentially what it comes down to is education and speaking up and letting people know that this type of action isn't tolerated, that this type of culture isn't tolerated, and that Aggies are cut from a different branch. So my role as a student leader would be to educate and to raise awareness for issues like these, not to brush them under the rug, but to stand up and to be a voice for the students.
As a student leader, for me personally, I feel like inaction is the worst action we can take. Specifically, the reason why is this type of event still does occur every once in a while. So I feel like using the experience that we have in dealing with this specific circumstance, we want to make sure we learn how to combat these types of instances from occurring again, but also learn how to respond to them to make sure that we promote why we're Aggies and what we stand for as being true to Aggies as Aggies can be.
First and foremost, I think it's very important to let everyone know, not just Aggies, that those types of comments and that type of hate is never appropriate on Texas A&M's campus. As student body president, I think we need to work twofold. First, within student organizations. I believe that we need to connect leaders of student organizations across campus, even more so than they already are now, to have meaningful and important dialogue. Second, I think we need to work with the entire student body. I want to be able to have students feel comfortable to reach out to me and let me know the issues that they're facing. But it's not fair for me to just say, I want you to come to me. I want to be able to go to students, and I want to know what the issues are that they're facing so that I can do everything I can to tackle them.
What do you think is the biggest challenge or obstacle to inclusion on campus?
So I believe that the biggest challenge or obstacle to inclusion on campus right now is these bubbles that people form early on here at their time at A&M. So it would be my job as student body president to break down those walls, to challenge people to reach out to different groups, to see things from a different perspective. So what I would do is approach different groups, approach different organizations, be a representation of them, and challenge others to do the same by leading as an example of that.
I feel like the biggest obstacle and challenge that we face is collectively inaction and complacency. Whenever events like this happen on campus, it's pretty frustrating for student leaders to deal with the level of inaction that some people have in order to make sure that these events don't happen again. So I feel like one of the biggest things we as student leaders can do to improve that from occurring is just maintaining an aggressive attitude to make sure that diversity is something that we strive for here each and every day at Texas A&M.
I believe that the biggest challenge to inclusion on campus is students feeling like they have an active voice and an active state in what's going on at our student leaders levels. As student body president, I will work to connect with students, whether they're in organizations, not in organizations, no matter what your background is, your voice matters to me. And what you have to say and your issues are important, and I will do absolutely everything that I can to address those so we have a community that really embraces and celebrates diversity.